And now we've come to part 6. Jason Lives. Again, fucking horrible ass DVD artwork. And this is one of the best sequels. Really is. I mean, it's different because it's no longer like this is the first one where Jason is a zombie. He's all fucked up. Which I don't really know why that picture of him is on here, because that's from part 5. Even though it has the red marks on the mask. But yeah, that's definitely from 5. But 6, this is the first time Jason gets brought back from the dead. He looks like a zombie. He's superhuman, harder than ever to kill. Paramount realized they fucked up with part 5, and they had to bring Jason back. And they went all out with this super 80s, super just balls to the wall, fun. Just Friday 13th. This is like a fan favorite for a lot of people. I can see why. A lot of great kills. CJ Graham plays a great undead Jason. Thom Matthews plays Tommy Jarvis. Of course, Thom Matthews was Freddy in Return of the Living Dead. He's also Return of the Living Dead 2. So with this, Tommy Jarvis, he's no longer mute. He's still haunted by the memory of Jason. So he decides to go destroy his body. And by doing so, he takes one of his friends from the mental hospital, the guy who played Rorschach and Welcome Back, Kotter. I almost said Rorschach from Watchmen. So they go to the graveyard, and now this was directed by Tom McLoughlin, who also directed One Dark Night. He's a big fan of old school gothic horror, like Frankenstein and stuff. So like when they get to the cemetery, it's like leaves blowing in the wind, spiked fences, very dark, full moon. Tommy takes a spike, stabs it into Jason, and then lightning hits it, reference to Frankenstein. So you get like that old school gothic-y horror feel. Way bloodier than part 5. I mean, Rorschach gets his heart ripped out with Jason's bare hands. That's sort of a sign that Jason's a different kind of killer in this. He is slow and methodical still. But like he can just rip through people and rip their fucking heart out, and it's awesome. And what I mean by fun is like when the beginning credits show up, it zooms in on Jason's eye, and there's this James Bond. Jason just walks to the middle of the screen, slashes. So yeah, it has like a James Bond opening. And pretty much it's Tommy trying to convince the sheriff that Jason's back. The sheriff not believing him. And Jason just going around killing everyone. Tom McLoughlin sort of, because this has no nudity in it, whereas 5 had a ton. Because I think McLoughlin sort of wanted to tone down the idea of teens, smoking, drinking, above all having sex, being the ones who get killed. He wanted to show that if you're anybody at the wrong place at the wrong time, Jason's going to kill you. And it is all walks of life, people getting killed in this. There's also a lot of humor, like a lot of humorous kills. Like there's these people playing paintball, like during the day, and like he does like a triple decapitation. There's like this one guy who is pissed because he lost paintball. He's hacking down trees, like, because one of them is a woman. Just bitching about how women need to stay in the kitchen and getting all pissed. Jason, like, throws him into a tree. The tree has, like, a smiley face on it. And when the guy slides off, there's blood on the smiley face. But when Jason looks down, he, like, lifts up, and the arm with the machete is still attached. So he kind of does this, like, humorous stuff like that. Tom McLaughlin's wife plays a woman who's in VW Beetle with, can't remember the guy's name. He's the one that gets carried off by ghosts in Ghost. You know, she gets like the metal spike through, because she's like on the ground, like through the mouth. Because she offers Jason money, and then it shows her hand like letting go of cash in American Express. Because if you watch any documentary, Tom McLoughlin says he knew people were going to yell, "Don't leave home without it," in the theater. Just, he throws in a lot of humor like that. You get this great kill. I can't remember the character's name, but the actor is John Travolta's nephew. Him and his girlfriend are having sex in this RV, and Jason somehow gets inside. So the guy's driving the RV, and Jason is like, you know, him and the girl are in the back sort of flying around, and he takes her head and slams it through the wall of the RV, but we see the outside imprint of her face coming through the like aluminum or whatever it is. The sheriff, you know, he's like, he gets bent, like, how do I want to describe this? Bent, like, backwards. So, like, the back of his head is hitting his ankles. Jason bends him in half. He throws a knife into someone's head. John Travolta's nephew gets a knife or something into the side of his skull. Then the RV rolls over and you get this great shot of him standing on the roof of the RV. Alice Cooper did 2 songs for this. Man Behind the Mask, which is alright. Teenage Frankenstein, which I think is a really cool song. But you know, the fact, 1986, which is when this was made, 1986, they got Alice Cooper to really do the songs for it. That's awesome. I also like the look of Jason, because, you know, CJ Graham is like a tall, like, bodybuilder type dude. When you see him without his mask, you know, he's got maggots in his eyes and worms all over him. He's just rotting corpse. Looks awesome. And then, of course, you get, you know, the showdown at the end, which is one of the best endings of the whole series, where Tommy thinks if he can somehow kill him at the lake, or get his body to be at the bottom of the lake where he drowns the boy, it could sort of undo everything. It sort of adds some sort of supernatural mythology to Jason, which hadn't really been done before. So he, lost my train of thought. So he gets this rowboat, this little boat with a giant boulder and a chain wrapped around it. And, you know, there's actually at a camp. This is the only one in the series that has a camp that's running with kids in it. So, you know, he's calling Jason like a pussy, come and get me. So, and anyone that says Jason is afraid of water, like in Freddy vs. Jason, has no problem with it in this. You know, he just walks right out, attacks Tommy on the boat. Oh, because Tommy then pours gas all over the water, creates a ring of fire. Tommy gets the chain around his neck with the rock at the bottom. I also love Tommy's sort of girlfriend, who's the sheriff's daughter. She gets the motor of the boat running, and she turns it over to Jason's neck, and it just chews the fuck out of him. That looked cool. I like the image of Jason sort of on the chain at the bottom of the lake, which there is a lake somewhere in America, I can't remember where. Someone made a life-size Jason from part 6 tied to a boulder down at the bottom. Yeah, I saw it on Facebook, which, can you imagine swimming around in that lake not knowing and just seeing that shit? My favorite death would have to be, there's these 2 girls, these 2 counselors at the camp. They're playing this card game called Camp Blood that revolves around Jason. But one of the girls, because I love the aftermath, It shows the outside of the room. She gets thrown halfway through the window, so she's like laying over it. You just see Jason come over, grab her, and pull her back into the room. And then you don't see what happens until later. Someone goes in the room, and there is just blood everywhere. Like, you remember that episode in season 1 of Dexter where the hotel room is full of blood? Looks like that. That's my favorite kill in this. Yeah, Tommy spends a lot of time in a jail cell because, the sheriff... Because Tommy admits he dug up Jason's grave, which is a crime. And some people go missing or killed, so the sheriff thinks Tommy did it. So he spends most of the movie in a jail cell until the sheriff's daughter lets him out. And, there's a car chase, there's a shootout. So Tom McLoughlin added some other elements to the slasher genre: action, humor. This is sort of probably the most cinematically biggest one, because there is a lot of action, car chases, shootouts. It is very funny. There is a lot of humor in it. A lot of it's self-referential, because by 86 the slasher genre is getting self-referential and self-parody anyway. But Jason is just a larger-than-life, undead badass in this movie. And, yeah, this is definitely one of the better ones. I will say my favorite part, because when I got all these movies for Christmas when I was in 6th grade, this and Jason X were the two I didn't get. This one was kind of hard to find. I didn't get it till a couple years later. But Part 7 opens up with a narration by Walt Gorney, who played Crazy Ralph in the first two. Sort of telling the story about Jason and telling the story about everything that's happened since. And it just shows highlights of the first 6 films. But it shows the whole ending of this one with Jason and Tommy, out on the lake being tied down by a chain and a boulder at the bottom of the lake. So that was the only thing I had of this film that I had seen for the longest time. Then I finally got it and I saw it and I thought it was awesome. Yeah, over the years I do like undead Jason. I do prefer human alive Jason, like in parts 2, 3, and 4. 7 was one of my favorites for the longest time when I was a kid. But this one has always been one of my favorites also, because this one they really just said, you know what? Because Paramount was sort of getting embarrassed by Friday the 13th around this time. The MPAA was always after them for the gore and everything. But with Tom McLoughlin, he was the right director at the right time. Because 5, even though it made a lot of money, it was a colossal failure with fans. So with this one, they just said, you know what? Let's just bring Jason back and have a ball. Let's just have fun. And they did. This one really sort of got rid of the whole sex, drugs, alcohol, you get killed. None of that. It's, you're the wrong person in the wrong place at the wrong time. Jason's going to kill you no matter what. There's even a part where he might even kill a kid, because he goes into a cabin where the kids are sleeping, and he sees this one girl who notices him, and he goes towards her, but then he hears someone outside. So it kind of makes you wonder, what would Jason do with a child? I mean, he almost killed Tommy in part 4, but he seems different in this. Jason definitely played him kind of like a Frankenstein monster kind of stereotype, not like Boris Karloff, but sort of what everybody thinks of Frankenstein's monster. Like ones that people, kind of people that call him Frankenstein, like what they think he's like. But no, this is a really fun sequel, great kills, Jason's awesome, he's an undead badass. Definitely, once you get to the higher numbered sequels where most of them suck anyway, how many series have a part 6 when they've been coming out consistently? That's fun and awesome still. But yeah, this was the perfect kind of movie to bring Jason back. Definitely exactly what Jason's all about. One of the best in the series. Totally fun. And stay tuned for next when we come to part 7. Thank you.